This morning, our special guest is my dear friend and Texas legend, local businessman, Alvin Stanton. His family-owned and operated business is a general store, but it encompasses at least 7 different businesses all under one roof. There's the grocery store, the gift shop, the restaurant, the hardware store, the feed store, the meat market, the deer processor, and I don't know if I've even included everything. All with small town charm. I'll never forget the first time I set foot in Stanton's, and what a treat it was for me. Alvin was recently recognized as a Texas legend, along with the likes of Mattress Mac. And I think that he was chosen especially for his beef sticks that he's very enthusiastic about. He's a graduate of Texas A&M, and he serves as a permanent deacon at St. John the Baptist Catholic Church here in town. Alvin, how long have you been in business?
Well, the store has been in business for 98 years.
Wow.
It was opened in 1922. My grandfather and great-grandfather opened it together. The Stantons, they came to Alvin in 1909. They came from Wisconsin, and they said that, Wisconsin, they lived in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, and it was right on one of the Great Lakes, and said it was extremely cold in the winter, and my great-grandfather had some health problems, and so the doctor said, you need to move to a warmer climate. And so they gathered the family up, and they moved to Alvin. I don't think they intended to stay in Alvin. They had dreams of going to the valley, and what they wanted to do was raise oranges and citrus. And but they had an uncle that lived here in Alvin, and they told me the story. They went to the valley, and it rained kind of like we're experiencing right here for about 2 weeks straight, and they figured all the flooding that this was not the place to be. So they gathered up and came back to Alvin and started a homestead there. And my great grandfather, I think, was a carpenter, and my grandfather George, he would travel and he'd do different jobs like horses, and he went to Oklahoma and Kansas to the wheat fields, and would work there during the summer and gather money up for the family. So very humble beginnings, trying to get things started. And they always had a lot of cattle. That was one of the things. I think they always had cattle, and they were always trading cattle for better cattle and more property and getting things started. Alvin was a whole lot different, a lot of mud roads and mosquitoes, and just a pretty tough place to live, but they made a go of it.
So did they start the business when the railroad came through? You're very close to railroad tracks, I've noticed.
Yes, that was one of the big advantages. They were on the railroad tracks. The location, the first business was a wood and coal yard, and they sold wood and coal on the railroad tracks. And in those days, everybody heated their homes or cooked with wood or coal. So that was how they got started. Of course, as time went on, that kind of left. The other thing that was really good about being on the railroad tracks is that the ice house that made ice in town was across the street, and all the dairy farmers and all the vegetable growers would come here to get ice for the produce and for the milk. And so we'd go out and sell them different products. Became kind of a general store, like Jeannette was saying, selling a little bit of everything. They got into hardware, and then they got into feed mixing. They would take the grain off the railroad tracks. They'd come in box cars, and had a feed mixer. So they would sell a lot of feed mixes to dairy farmers. So that kind of got them started. I think at one time he sold just about everything. He even sold Studebaker cars. Yeah,
I think you still sell everything. I remember
yeah.
the first time I went in that store, I said, they have everything but the kitchen sink. And then I went around a corner and sure enough, there was a sink.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah,
One of his mottos was, "If we don't have it, you didn't need it." So
that's a
he
good
had
motto.
everything.
Yeah.
And,
Uh,
and a
your
lot of
meat,
times,
your meat department has a wonderful reputation around town, and I understand through the state.
yes,
Have you won some
we're more
special
of meat
awards?
market. Yes, we've won a lot of awards too. My grandfather was always big on meat. He had the farm was not very far from here, so he had a little feed yard and a little slaughterhouse, and he would feed cattle, and it was very hard to get quality beef, and so he would feed them and then slaughter and then bring them here and sell them. Since I've been at work here, I've been graduated from A&M in '83, and had the grocery store. We've kind of evolved into more of the meat, sausage making, bacon making, those little snack sticks, bacon wrapped stuff, turkey breasts, all kinds of different varieties of things. We've kind of just evolved into more of that. And we've won a lot of awards too. Like she was mentioning, we became part of a group called the Texas Meat Processors Association, and it's meat processors from around Texas, and they gather once a year. Usually is at A&M. They'll gather for a convention, and they talk about food safety. They talk about different products. They have a big meat contest there where everybody brings their best sausage, and then they have some of the students or professors serve as judges, and they taste them, and they'll evaluate you and tell you what was right and what was wrong and how you ranked. And we've been entering that for, oh gosh, probably the last 10 or 12 years. At first, we did okay, and I guess you learn from people and learn what you're doing. It's a good way to find out. And the last 3 or 4 years, we won the grand sweepstakes, and there's 15 different categories of sausage and bacon, and we've been the best meat plant in Texas those 3 out of 4 years. So it's been really good to know that you're on top of the
Did you
group.
say
So yes.
there's 15 different categories of sausage and bacon?
Yes. Well, one of the categories is bacon. They have that where there's also like summer sausage, dried sausage, snack sticks. There's specialty meats such as boudins and chorizos and different things like that that they kind of enter. Hams or another category. But yes, there's all kinds of different processed meats if you think about all the different things you can make. Yes, turkeys, yeah, and all those kind of things.
Do you sell exotic meat from
We,
different countries, or?
yes, now that was not in the competition, but we do make a lot of exotic meats too. There is some companies who acquire these exotic meats for us. We usually take like the little trimmings pieces. We do make things like buffalo sausage, wild deer sausage. We've got a red deer. We've got an axis, South Texas antelope. We've even got kangaroo, and we've done some camel. That's coming from Australia. Believe it or not, they're some of our better sellers. We're having a little harder time getting the kangaroo right now. They tell me it's a kangaroo season. I didn't realize that, but all the exotic meats they all sell. They all do well. I'm surprised, but yeah, I guess everybody wants to try something different.
How many different varieties of bacon and sausage do you have?
Well, on the bacon, we've got I think on just the main core bacon, we've got like a homemade. That's the one that won the award. We got a homemade. We've got an applewood, which is a really good seller. We've got a peppered bacon. We've got another one that's called South Texas Sweet. It's kind of a sweet bacon. I've also got a ghost pepper bacon, which for people who like extremely hot, which is not me, but there is a following for very hot food. We make that. And we have another one that's dry cured bacon. That's kind of the old homemade style bacon. It takes 2 or 3 weeks to process that. And then we also have cottage bacon, which comes from the pork shoulder. Um, we sell a lot of that. It's kind of tastes almost like ham. Very different kind of a product, but it's a good one. You can put with your beans. You can also put it with eggs. It does really well.
Is that the most popular of the bacons then? The cottage
We still the homemade and the applewood are by far the biggest.
Applewood.
And we have a way of slicing it. We have an automatic slicer. We can slice it thick or we can slice it thin. We offer it both ways. The cottage bacon is kind of another, just kind of another offshoot. Those it seems like everybody has their favorites, so we offer them all.
I see. Now, what about the sausage? I understand you've got lots of different flavors.
What was that, Janet? I didn't.
What flavors of sausage do you have?
We have a lot. That's the thing. I know my dad asked me, why can't you just do 1 or 2 flavors? I said, well, it's kind of like Lay's potato chips. You just got to have a whole bunch of flavors and everybody wants to take one. So that's how we look at it with sausage. We make, the original. We've got garlic. We've got jalapeno cheese. We've got sweet. We also make a lot of, which is becoming really popular, is chicken sausage. It's got a little different flavor and profile. You can make things like we make a cranberry nut chicken sausage. The one that won the grand champion, not this year, but last year for us was a chicken sausage. It was a chicken poblano pepper sausage, and it tasted just like chicken enchiladas. Very popular. So we're always, we've got a new flavor we're working on is a chicken pumpkin sausage. And we just made a batch and it sold out. So you're always experimenting with new flavors, new things. The snack sticks, those little pencil like Slim Jim sticks. We do like a Hawaiian stick that won its class this last year. Very sweet. Kind of like eating meat candy almost, but is very, very good. The kids love that. It's one way to get them to eat meat, I guess. It's very good.
What are your family favorites for you?
Oh, I really like the jalapeno cheese. But that's got a little heat to it. It's got a little fire to it. The one that's called South Texas Sweet. That's my dad's favorite one. It's kind of like a barbecue sweet molasses taste to it. A little different, but it's a good flavor as well. That one that the chicken poblano peppers are definitely a good one. If you're having friends over for a steak and you have that on the side, it goes really well. It's got pepper jack cheese in it, and that's another good flavor. They're all really good. Say everybody's found a home on buying those.
I understand you have a mail order business for your meats now.
Yes, we do that. We have a website, StantonMeats.com. You can buy all the different products we have here. The only thing unfortunate about meats is that it has to be shipped, in a certain amount of time. So during the summer, it's got to be shipped almost overnight, which is expensive. But in the cooler times of the years, you could probably do with a 2-day and still be all right with the sausages and things. But that's the only drawback on meats. But we can, and during the holidays especially, we have quite a few people who will turn in an order on the internet. We will box it up and send it to you. Or we've sent product to California to New York City. Somebody the other day, we sent some sausage to Rhode Island, Florida, different places. And then sometimes people come in shopping and they're going to fly out. They'll gather sausages and take them in their bag and fly to wherever they're going and bring it with them. So any way we can help you, we'd be glad to get you going.
So with your mail order business, is that like Omaha Steak where you have certain packages that people order, or can people order a la carte?
We can do it either way. You can pick whatever you would like, and we can put it together in that. I really suggest the sausages because they're cured and they're fully cooked. They ship better than say fresh meat. We can ship some fresh meat, but it has to get there a little faster. Omaha is a great place. They do tremendous business. We're not quite up to their caliber on volume. That's when you get a little better discounted shipping. But the sausage wise, we can do it really good on sausage.
Very good, very good. So you do ship all over the country. Did the shipping increase with the pandemic?
It did. It did. We shipped quite a bit out. The only thing bad about the pandemic is that we experienced some shortages on the meat, so that it was kind of hard to fill a lot of the orders. We were very fortunate. We deal with a lot of different meat companies, but with the sheer volume of customers and just getting the product out, it was the people who showed up here first kind of got the priority. But we did ship out quite a few bundles out to people. Yes.
You said that you deal with a lot of different meat companies. So the Stanton farms or ranches or whatever are not the ones supplying all of your meat then?
No.
Well, I don't expect a kangaroo, but.
Yes, no. We're throwing a kangaroo. No. We have done that with my grandfather in the slaughterhouse and all that. And I guess we got to the late 60s. Business had grown, and also the regulations on raising and slaughtering cattle had done that too. And so they decided to not continue that. There's just a lot of regulations on that. We still have the cattle, but they're more for breeding purposes. So they'll sell them at the auction, or they'll sell them as heifers or bulls. But no, we don't. I wish we did, but we don't. It's just not feasible.
It's not feasible for it all to be homegrown beef, but you still control the quality and any of the antibiotics or additives.
Yes.
You control that personally.
Yes.
Then for
Yes,
what you decide that you can purchase and stuff like that. Very good, very good. Well, I understand that you're involved in a lot of things other than just the grocery store and the meat and the gift shops and all of that kind of stuff. There's a community event coming up this weekend. I believe you're a sponsor for that. I think it's, I want to say Laugh Out Loud Ministries or something. Can you tell us about that?
Just see how that kind of goes. They had contacted me. They're, I guess, an out-of-town organization. Sherry Cavallo had just called me about it. I have not heard from them in about a month or so. So,
She's our
yeah, let me, sometimes you agree to helping people, and they all have good causes. And I think this would be a great thing to raise money for the needy. But I don't really know enough about it to really endorse it, but I did say I would let them use our parking lot if that would help them. Yes.
Okay. And it's going to be, I understand, a food distribution and that type of thing, not just for the senior citizens, but for anyone with any needs because of the pandemic, as I understand. But we will see. We will see.
Yes, I'm all for that. Helping people. I'm all for that. Any way we can lend a hand on that, I'm all for that. Yes.
Now, with COVID, did you have to reduce your business hours or close on certain days while people were isolated at home?
Well, we were very fortunate. No one here has had any issues with the COVID. I don't know. Maybe God's been blessed.
God's got you.
I don't know. We've been thick and thin through things. Another big thing that we do is deer processing, and we just got through with the deer processing there in March, and the COVID shows up, and so we've been running full speed ever since. And we've gone through a lot of hurricanes. We've gone through a lot of that, so we want to understand. You just kind of put your head down and just start pushing. and all the workers have been so kind to stay with us, and we kept our regular hours, and we're able to provide services for everybody. In a way, we're just trying to help people. We had a lot of folks that come from out of town as well, that came in that normally don't shop with us, and able to satisfy them. The groceries were harder to get. We were kind of ran out of a lot of things, of course, toilet paper, to
Yes.
sanitizers, and that. It was just hard to, it still is hard to get everything. But the meat, which we kind of specialize in, we were able to, for the most part, pretty well have something for everybody. Nobody went hungry or they couldn't find anything.
Did you have to limit what people could purchase like our other stores did, and we limit to beef items and things like that?
No, we didn't.
Very good.
I think that's one of the appeals is unless you just got something crazy, for the most part, everything wasn't limited. So we were able to kind of open it up, full throttle on it. And but no, everything worked out really well. A lot of times I was limited on how much I could get from the wholesalers, the meat vendors, but we deal with so many of them. If you ordered enough, you could get a little bit from everybody and make your full order. So it worked out.
Wonderful, wonderful. I wanted to ask you a little bit about the hardware store. My husband and I have been in Alvin for about 13 years now, and whenever we've needed something or just not had the answer, people say, go to Stanton's. First of all, I was having a problem with snakes. And it's like, how do I get rid of these snakes? They're right by my kitchen door, and I don't want Granddaddy tripping over these snakes, and he wants to catch them, and he'll fall down. And someone said, go to Stanton's. So, of course, I went to Stanton's, and in the hardware department, your employee said, well, have you tried snake powder?
There you go. There you go.
It's just a peppermint powder that we sprinkle around once a year, and it keeps the snakes away from our doors. The next thing that was a problem was we had so many wasps just attracted to our porches. And I didn't want to use a lot of chemicals, especially now, because I love my butterflies. And someone said, well, did you go to Stanton's? So I went to Stanton's, and the lady said, well, did you try a wasp trap? And I was expecting some messy, wet thing, and it's these things that you hang that are like the old fly no pest strips, and the wasps come and they just stick on there, and that is the end of your wasp problem. So you have a number of unique products there. Can you tell me about some of the other unique items that you have that you don't find in other places?
Well, sure. We've got, like you said, all kinds of different things. I've got to say there's three brothers that run the store. I've got to make sure I give them credit too.
Okay.
I do the grocery part, and then my brother Paul does the hardware part. So Do It Best Hardware. They've got all kinds of appliances to a gift shop, to all kinds of just hardware, a lot of do-it-yourself type stuff, you know. And then my other brother, Neil, he runs the feed department, and they do feed, they do fertilizers, herbicides, pesticides, a lot of garden seeds. If you're going to do a garden, we've got this big counter of bulk garden seeds, and that my grandfather had that. You know, back in the day, people would come and had huge gardens. Well, they buy like garden seeds at £1 at a time, and plants. You can still get, you know, smaller amounts for your home garden. Right now we have plants too, a lot of vegetable plants. That was another thing that was really big in the pandemic, is how many people planted gardens. I guess you had to stay home, so why not dig up the backyard and make a garden? And so a lot of garden seeds, a lot of garden materials, probably the biggest garden season that he's had over there. A lot of people just doing gardening because they had time. But they had that. As you mentioned, the snake away. I think there's also one they call armadillo scram. You know, if you got armadillos, sprinkle this out, and the armadillos will run off. They've got all kinds of products, hummingbird feeders, to, all kinds of different things. Organic herbicides are getting to be big, you know, and he's got some of that too. Organic fertilizers, compost, different things that, you know, we try to stay with the times and what people want.
Well, you say you stay with the times, but at the same time, you've got things that we wouldn't find in any other store from times of ages past. Once I went in there and you had baby chickens.
Yes, now that's
chickens and ducks. The little
chickens and ducks, and that's, you know, we mention it to kids. Sometimes I go to the school and we do career day, and it's the number one thing is, do you have the chickens at the store, Mr. Stanton? So they puts a big impression on little kids that come up and look at the baby chicks, and we'll probably be getting some of those when it gets cooler. But oh yeah, they've always had chickens. During Easter, they'll have a lot of rabbits.
Sell rabbits.
Yeah, little Easter bunnies. Everybody's got to have an Easter bunny, and so they'll sell those out there too. But yeah, it's kind of the old way of doing things. Grandfather had always done it that way. We continue to do those things. As far as things in the hardware, they've got a lot of things that, you know, if you have an older house, you can't find a certain seal for your faucet or some other kind of a contraption, they probably have it in a cubby hole somewhere. So yeah, a lot of folks coming that can't find it anywhere else, so they'll find it here at Stanton's.
And you have very loyal employees who have been with you for many years and know where to find all of those unique items. So I certainly enjoy the time
been
to go in.
Very blessed on people who work here. Some people have worked here for a very long time, 40, 50 years. You know, they've been with us, very loyal people. They're just like family to us. They know their stuff, a lot of expertise in getting you started and getting you working on things. Yeah, we couldn't do it without the great people that, especially this pandemic, if they hadn't shown up to work or all work as a team together, we would have had to close. It was the testimony to them that we were able to keep it working.
You said that you've been in business 98 years.
Yes.
Has that been continuous?
Yes.
No take the year off or anything. It's just been continuous?
No. Everybody's got to keep eating, you know. You have to keep eating, you got to keep working, you know. So no, it's always been that way. The store used to be called E.J. Stanton and Son. That was my great grandfather's E.J. and my grandfather was his son. So I think they changed the name by about 1955, 56, the Stanton Shopping Center. But no taking a year off.
Okay. No big family vacation. You mentioned your brothers are in the business with you. Do you have sisters also?
Yes.
You're not involved with the business then?
Well, I had two sisters. One, Phyllis Reed. She worked here for a while, and then her and her husband, they own Dairyland here in town. You might see Dairyland's across the street from Sonic. They sell the hamburgers there. All their meat comes from Stanton's, so it's a really good hamburger. So they have the tortilla burgers, which are old-time favorite over there, but they have that business. I have another sister who lives in LaGrange. That's the youngest sister, married one of my friends from college, and he's an accountant in LaGrange. And then the youngest brother, there's one more brother, his name is George also. We have a ranch in the hill country. We're in Johnson City, and he lives up there. My dad's still alive. He's 92 years old, and they're both on the ranch, and he helps them in getting to the doctor, to feeding the animals. Yes.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning, Alan, at CompU. We do have one comment from Michael before he starts our exercise portion. He typed that Stanton's is the best. I love breakfast at Mr. George's restaurant. Their meat is always the best. I love cottage bacon.
Well, there you go.
Michael over here. He's putting his thumb up, and we're going to be starting our
thank you, Michael.
exercise.
Thank you, Michael, for the kind words. Yes, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Take care.
Yeah, word of mouth is always the best.
It's worked for you for 98 years, so that's great. Okay.